that is interesting, to say the least, that they are wrapping this up, because I feel like they still have so many places to get through. I mean, it was like 4 or 5 locations that Octus found. So I don't know how you guys feel about that, but it feels like, well, I'm trying to do this. This is either going to be a long episode or they're about to be speed running, is kind of how I'm seeing this going. Why is my big episode tonight? It should, yeah, it's supposed to be the finale for this group. This should be the last episode of the Seekers tonight, so should be a big one. All right, we are now fully set up. Everything is here and good. For anybody who may be on the vertical feed, there is, of course, a horizontal feed on YouTube as well. So, what did everybody think about last week's episode? How are we feeling with the night song, and all that stuff? Meet Taisha's son tonight. Yeah, I would think that's gonna happen. I think that they're going to be deeper into this place in Tannesar, to some of those interestingly named locations that they found. So that's my guess. One of these apotheons and all that sort of stuff. Didn't want all the info that was dropped. I was excited. Now I have to wait until the end of Summerish to see where this ends up. Wait, why? Why do you have to wait till the end of Summerish? It's just an arc, no reason to not come back to stuff at some point. Yeah, no doubt. It's just, for instance, the soldiers ended on a very, okay, we kind of completed the thing we wanted to do. And this one feels like it could be a big cliffhanger, or it's going to have to go very fast tonight, or be a very long episode. And they've been pretty consistent at having a call time of like 3.5 hours. Like, Brennan has consistently ended this stuff at about 3.5 hours. Yo, what's up, Cog? Welcome in. So, I got you. You meant like this group. Yeah. If they stand to what they've been doing at about 6 episodes, again, could be 5, sometimes could be 7, sometimes whatever. But if they stick with about 6 episodes per arc, yes, it could be 12 weeks before we see the Seekers again. But in other news, we're halfway to getting to see the soldiers again, basically. So if you're into that, you do have that to look forward to. But yeah, it's interesting that they're wrapping that up tonight. But we'll just have to see how it goes. Either way. SD, welcome in, says, I always tend to fall asleep during the cold open. East Coast here, so we'll see if I can say it. You fall asleep during the cold open? Those cold opens are only like 10 minutes long. It's like they start and you're like, I'm going to bed. I'm East Coast as well. Yo, what up, Allie? Welcome in. Hello. Insanity on TikTok says, took a break from C4 and started watching C3, and I laugh so much more than I have a C4. C4 has been a little more serious. So when did you stop watching? Or when did you take a break? Because the overture was pretty serious. And then I feel like the soldiers we got a little more silly and fun with. And then when we got back to the Seekers are very serious. And they've been serious throughout most of their stuff. Astri, good day to you. Welcome in. So, yeah. I feel like with the soldiers, there was humor in-game. And with the Seekers, there's some humor out of game, but not really much in-game. Biko says, yeah, at first I was ambivalent towards the Seekers. Now I'm invested. Yeah, we got a lot of information. Boy, howdy, I can't wait for us to get into the Schemers table. Yeah, hopefully that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing what they have in store. It does feel like it's going to be another, like, I think it's going to be more similar to the Seekers than the soldiers. Meaning, I think we're going to get less humor, but probably more than we got with the Seekers, because I think Murray and Bolay are going to be capable of delivering some stuff when it comes to that. So yeah. What's up, Daniel? Welcome in. I am catching up only at episode 12. Well, Monday, I got recaps on YouTube. I do a recap of every episode. So if you want to watch them all, cool, that works. If you want to just get it done, my recaps are normally between 15 and 25 minutes per episode. So rather than all of that, you could catch up by watching, 25-minute on average recaps. But yeah, I'm excited for Murray's humor to lighten up the mood. Yeah, it's been so serious that it's a harder watch, because that isn't like, D&D games aren't typically that serious. So it's a little tougher. You really got to just be like, okay, this is what it is, and watch it for that, because a lot of other actual plays and things like that are a little, there's a little more whimsy and fun and goofiness, and the Seekers have been like very, very serious. So and let's not forget a possible paternity leave for B. Yeah, well, exactly, but that could already be happening, to be fair. So yeah, because they already did a like, they have a lot recorded ahead of time, right? So they might have stocked up for that reason. We got a lot more people are in here now, so I will say, if you guys didn't see, and I posted this in Discord, which if you haven't joined mine, it's linked down below. There's not an episode next week. They're taking next week off, so no episode next week. And tonight is the last for the Seekers. They have solidified that it is the finale for the Seekers tonight. No episode next week, and then we come back to the Schemers the week after. So for those of you who didn't see that. Looking forward to another big fight tonight. What will they find? Yeah, well, one, it's really going to be a matter of, do they end up fighting a Celestial? Who of the Taconas do they fight? Maybe an uncle or something like that, because we did kind of get that. Maybe Tertia's father are all possibilities. I've really started to enjoy the Code Opens. At first wasn't a fan, but now they grab my attention. Yeah, well, I think they've also improved. And we've had a couple bangers in a row, Andrea. I think that helps. It's a good idea. Well, thank you, Monday. I'm full of them sometimes. Wick Cold Open could be... Yeah, it should be about Wick. Yeah. The recaps are great, not too long, not minute by minute, but so much summarization. So that's... I told people that because somebody commented on, not the most recent one, the one before that, and was like, basically said my recaps are terrible. He was like, they're too much this, they end up being more annoying than helpful, they this and that. And I tried to explain in my comment, which I was, I was very kind about, and I didn't want to be another recap that already exists, right? There are people who do 30-minute recaps where they're very like story, and they're like adding in their own 2 cents, and they're doing, I'm like, no, I want mine to be shorter, and I want mine to be like to the point. Here we go. This is what happened. Not a lot of my own flavor. I throw a little bit in here and there, but it's mostly just like, this happened and that happened. This happened and that happened, and stuff like that. Now, I'll admit, I think my episode 16 was my first time doing it a different way on my end, not stuff you guys are aware of. And I do think it fell a little flat. 17, though, the most recent one, I thought was pretty solid. I thought episode 17 was a decent recap, but I mean, definitely feel free to let me know any feedback and stuff like that. But yeah. I like to get snippets of the other groups. Agree with that. Yo, what's up, Jeff? Welcome in, welcome in. Hello, Kaylee. Welcome in. Good to see you. Every table has been unique. I like that. Sure. Yeah, and everybody's going to have, like, by default, a table they enjoy more than others because certain play styles just fit people better. Bull says, is there a platform forming with cold opens? I feel like there is, but I don't know what pattern is forming. Oh, pattern. Mostly just that you get, I think right now we're going soldier, schemer, and it just changes until we've gone through them all, and then it repeats. Is kind of how it seems like it's been going. Big Bunky says, imagine we get some silliness in the next group, specifically due to Marisha's character, which seems geared towards comic relief. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying before. I think we'll get a little bit more with Murray. Soldiers benefited from having the wacky Wick and Tyranny combination. Yeah, but I mean, even then, some interactions with Teo were fun. Again, I've said this a million times, so some of you have heard this a lot. The NPCs also added a lot of comedic relief with the soldiers. I think even they got Taylor out of his shell. We had some fun moments with Cadigan out of his shell. Wick constantly delivered. Yeah, I just think in general there was more fun with that group. It wasn't as dark and serious, despite the fact that they were on a mission to kill. Feel like getting a Bolaire code open. Haven't seen it in a while. It's gonna be Bolaire or Wick, but who did we get last week? We got Murray, so we should be getting Wick if they maintain going like Seeker Soldier. I think we will. A second Scorpion. When they find Aligar, what condition will he be in? I have a sneaking suspicion that the Taconis might have tried to experiment on him. Yeah, I'll be curious. I wonder if Brendan's going to put them in a situation where like they can either choose to save Aligar or like choose to stop the Celestial or something. How do we feel about that? Right? Like if he puts them in a spot where it's like a choice has to be made. You can't do both. I want to know how that would play out. Here, forgot to set this up. And I will throw it out there for anybody who is on the vertical feed. If you're watching YouTube and it's vertical, it's not the full screen. I have a full screen live right now. So if you head on over to that, if you just click on my page, there'll be 2 lives at the top. Just click the one that doesn't have vertical in the title or thumbnail, and you can get the full screen if you want to. Just throwing it out there. I'm live on both, but it is, I know some people just happen to find their way to that one. Like that's the one that pops up. So they go there and then they don't even realize that I am live elsewhere. What's up, Famine? Where can I look to see the schedule of no episode next week? Well, they made a post about it that I put in my Discord. But so they posted on like Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that stating about next week, but they do have a schedule somewhere. I don't remember where it is. Kaylee's, I do love your recap. Sometimes we get so much information, it all goes through my head, so it helps me. Oh, absolutely. And I'm glad you like them. I was just saying that example because like somebody was basically like, I don't like the way you do them. But I also was like, if I do them that way, well, I always forget how to say her channel name. LaBuffton, she already does them that way. And she does a great job at it. So why do the exact same thing as her? There's another guy whose recaps are like 55 minutes long. And I'm like, I don't want to be that guy either. I want to do the shorter, but concise, like I still cover everything. But I don't do a lot of other, so I wanted to, like, when I looked, I was like, I don't want to just take what somebody else is doing. I want to do it in a way that adds a value to the community. And there are going to be people who are like, I want to watch hers or I want to watch his. And there are going to be people who are like, I prefer this one. And that's the way I'm doing it. Do you think the tables will switch up later in the campaign? Yes. Yes, I do. Only Taylor is there. That was a great moment in Sanity. True, NPCs for Soldiers Arc were the best. They had more varied interactions. Secrets mostly dealt with nobles or druids. Yeah, and all very serious. Very serious. Like, everybody was serious. I think we need a bit of a break from too much serious. Personally, I don't want to say we. I think I would prefer if we got a little bit of that. Dr. Talter is one of the best ABCs during the Seekers arc. Oh, 100%. 100%. Dr. Talter is solid with this one. To save a few versus save me. Exactly, Biko. I'm interested. Summer says, do you have a preference? I have YouTube Red. Is it better I watch this on YouTube? Wherever you want to watch it. Summer, that's totally your call. I don't have a big preference. Wherever you're at, all I ask is if you're on TikTok, double tap the screen. Anybody hearing this to give it some likes and tell TikTok that you want to watch it. And if you're on YouTube, please click that thumbs up button and type something in the chat so it senses engagement and YouTube's like, let's show this to more people. Whatever you feel like typing. Soldiers had a lot of different impactful NPCs that helped the table in different ways. Seekers seem to have had one major NPC who carried the party's progression. Well, yeah, you had Lady Nessa, but now we have Dr. Talter who's joined in. Vanessa, hey, what's up? Welcome in. I love a moral quandary deciding upon multiple choices. I think we're going to get that. Daniel says full schedule is available on their main website. There you go. David says, I have sickness. I watch multiple recaps because it's so lore dense. No, there's nothing wrong with that. And again, I think people can learn different stuff. I'm not always going to nail everything, right? I'm going to try, but I'm not always going to nail everything. and then you can watch, and like LaBuffin's gonna have something that I don't, maybe, or she's gonna talk about a specific thing. So yeah, and then I can't find the other guy anymore. But he was posting his like the night of, like that dude was like watching it and then doing the recap, and they were getting posted like the next morning, but they were like 55 minutes long, and it was like exact. Like the dude was like reading the script just faster than they were. Like, you know, there wasn't pauses, whatever. The dude was just like reading through the thing, but I don't remember who it was, and I forgot. Yo, Allie with another 5 gifted. Holy crap, thank you so much. If you got gifted, make sure to say thank you to Allie, David, Jeff, Rude Boy Games, who else? PLTPQ and Michael. Was it Zodi? That's who it was, Cog. Yes. Yes, that's who it was. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted. I really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Something in chat, something in chat, something. Thank you, guys. Goober says, is Dr. Talter one of the daughters of that friendly gnome? I forgot her species. Sorry, that's a dumb question. I don't think it's a dumb question, and I know. She went off, his daughters went off to fight in the Falconers Rebellion, and she was off studying with the totality. So I would not think that's the case. But I do think she is a gnome, isn't she? Unless I'm wrong. And Jaden said, wait, you missed Kylie's birthday shout last week. I kid, all good amigo. Wait, what are we talking about, Cog? And thank you for watching on the recaps. Oh, you mean everybody's okay, just like David said, I think. I'm gonna miss Velas. I want to learn more about her so much. Yeah, we finally did get some, with like her sister and brother and stuff. Jaden said Soldier's Table, aka Falconers Rebellion. Zune Cadigan Taylor. Secret Table, aka House Party, the Wakander Tyranny, Oxus Julian Bayless, Schemes Table, aka Wine Moms, Taisha, Hal, Belair, and Murray. No, I can see that. My confession is I don't actually watch Critical Role, but I do watch like 5 people's recaps. Hey, Summer, if that's how you get it, that's how you get it. Nothing wrong with that. Do we think the apotheotic obelisk is intended to create celestials only, or is it meant to try to bring back Tanzel? That's a great question. So the lore that the world knows, again, Tanzel might have set this up to be able to bring him back, but what they said was learned was that there's like a word that can be said and items that need to be given, and that will allow the the creation of a celestial. But that could just be like part of it. So pretty sure Dr. Shelter is halfling. Okay, might be. Cheers. Thank you, Allie. I really appreciate that. The live chats was removed from the episodes. The more people do recaps, the better for the community. Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. Congrats to the gifted. Remember to like and subscribe and join the Discord. We have a live reaction channel in the Discord. It's fun, so come join us. That's right. That's right. If you guys haven't already joined the Discord, it's linked in the description on YouTube. People, we talk about it while the episode is playing, and you get all the fun moments where people are like, holy crap, what just happened? Or what did they say? Or what was the name of that person? Or, you know, you get to ask questions, enjoy the fun moments, all that. We have a Critical Role Campaign 4 live chat over there. So how many episodes for the Seekers? This is 7 again, isn't it? Isn't this is 7, right? But this, because we got to 11? No, we got to 12. So this is 6. Right? Because we did 4 and then we did 7. This is the last one. Yeah, and the I posted it. Where did I post it in my Discord? They made a post today that said catch up with the cast for the Seekers Table tonight as they talk through the roller coaster together before the final episode of their first arc begins tonight. So tonight is the final episode of the first arc, and then they said, as a quick reminder, we will be taking a brief break from streaming next week before returning to our Schemers on 3/19. So last episode of the Seekers is tonight. That's it. Next week, they're not doing a broadcast. The week after, we go to the Schemers. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, wait, no, they did a half episode from that long session. Speed A shout. It's when you had like many matches come through at once. Oh, well, my bad, Cog. Dang. Well, tell your wife Kylie I said happy birthday just a week late. Definitely help with all the lore. Yep. I think they're gonna end up fighting Aligar because he's been influenced by the Taconis or dead. So I guess it would depend. I don't think they have the ability to like mind control living. Like their thing is all about being dead. So if they've killed him and brought him back, then yes. But I don't think they can just be like, you work for us now. Unless he's dead. Like that's kind of their whole shtick is like trying to take over the undead or the dead. I do think Tonsil's saying Dawn comes back after the night is foreshadowing. I agree. I agree. That's the first, because, you know, people have brought up, oh, the gods are coming back or they're whatever. That is the first part where I've gone, okay, that is foreshadowing. There is potential that we will see the return of Tonsil at least. So, and hey, Reed, welcome in. Soldiers in the middle. Okay, read that. Yeah, I saw the break in the broadcast schedule. Yeah. I hate that I can't remember the huge lore drops at the end of last week. I just seen on their thumbnail, they color coordinated with a symbol on table group. Oh, like the number of episodes or whatever. And you know what I've thought about doing as a potential Allie, thanks for joining the Discord, and Summer, thanks for joining the Discord. I've thought about putting my Critical Role episode notes up for people to read. Maybe that'll be like a perk for people who become members or subscribe to the Patreon, is you can just read through my episode notes. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Would that be something? Would people be interested in reading through my notes? Because that's where my recaps come from. And I almost always have the spelling correct. So if you're ever interested, because I watch with captions on and I pause and write down the correct spelling. I don't know. I just thought it'd be interesting because people are watching the videos and stuff, and being able to read through it or reference it might be cool. I don't know. Just a thought. Erratic, thanks for joining the Discord. Hey, we got 3 new people in there, guys. Make sure you select actual plays when you select what you're interested in, or else you won't be able to access the appropriate channels. I will have to add that to yours, but I can. It's easy. Yeah, green and blue. Yeah. A cool membership perk. Yeah. Either place. Like if somebody is subbed anywhere, I think that could be a cool thing to do as a little bit of a perk for folks. Yeah. But anyway, happy Thursday. Hey, what up? Yet it is. Ooh, what did I just do to my arm? Ooh, that was super weird. I didn't like that at all. Ooh. I like notes as a visual aid for the videos. Yeah, it's exactly. That's well, now my notes are for me only right now, so I might have to reformat because it's just like little paragraph, little paragraph, little paragraph, little paragraph, little paragraph. Like it's not super. Yeah. Hands these last couple episodes. Reed, can you be more specific? I don't know exactly what we're talking about with that. The weird phrasing. Hey, Daniel, thank you for the $5 super chat. We need more fan art of Scooch. Scooch is one of the funniest little creatures, Brandon. Let's go up. I love Scooch. I don't know if you guys saw my recap where I described him and then immediately said, and I would die for him. The whole imagery of him, the top half and the bottom half being a hamster and just this little, I just absolutely fantastic. Yeah, loved that. I did see one person create something. Andrea says, I'm missing the chat interaction watching now on Beacon, so having this pre-show chat is awesome. Yeah, I understand why with stuff like that you want to like cut off the live chat, and I know that they wanted to drive more people to discuss things in the Beacon Discord, but I do really think it takes something away from that community and that feeling, so I'm glad that this helps you get some of that back. So I know day after you were underwhelmed by the Stone of Night song. Now that you sat with it for a week, how do you feel? I think it should level with her and gain more spot. If that is the case, Famine, then I'm all for it. I think that's cool. If it's not, I am underwhelmed by the Stone of Night song. That's basically my take. If it levels up, then I think it's cool. I think, like, you know, as you grow in power, you're able to access more of the power of the stone. I'm all for it. I think that's awesome. If that's not the case, then I don't like. I'm underwhelmed by the Stone of Night song. Yo, what's up, Edwin? What up? What up? What up? Stewed on it long enough that the references to Shadow are striking me as clues that those two filaments have not been following Tannesar for a while. Oh, because they were the thing on the door referenced. Let me find it. Shadow and Flame, twin houses united, evermore in the service of the sun, who we revere in the glory of day and in the faith of night. I don't know if that makes me think that, like, they had fallen out of, like, support of Tannesar or something. That particular part, at least. Larry, what's up? Welcome in. Hello, good sir. Just want to say I just got off work. Now I have come to join before they air. The last episode was amazing. What was your thoughts, and what do you think is to come in this episode? Yeah, last episode was cool. It was a nice, relaxing episode for me because there was, like, this long portion of combat that didn't have a lot of, like, big lore moments in it, so I didn't have to do a ton of note taking. I just got to kind of put it playing on fast forward and watch them go through combat. So that was cool. But it was a lot at the end where it was like, here's all these notes that were written from people. And, you know, now I have so many questions. Last week left him with so many questions. What is Osament? What is Chalcidian? Who are the Cloak? The drowned men or whatever they're called. Like, what is, like, we got so many name drops for stuff. We don't know what any of those things are. So I am quite intrigued. The Discord is very overstimulating. Yeah, it's a rough place to have like that, which is why, you know, I tell people if you go in my Discord, if you during our live chat, it's small, right? Like you might have like 5 to 15 active participants, typically more to like 5 to 10. And so you're able to keep up, you're able to interact, you're able to kind of be on the same page instead of just like, bah, 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 you know, it just flooding and flooding and flooding. So yeah. Let me survive the stone as a vestige. Yeah, Mobius. That's what a lot of people are leaning towards. We just don't know. We heard about the Hall of the Demon Guardians. The Secrets have to go through the hall to get where they're going, whether they fight more demons. I wonder if all this stuff is still active. Right? Like, I think that's also a question. Luke, thanks for joining the Discord. Is, like, the Hall of Demon Guardians and all that, is it still running? Are there still demons there? Have they already been defeated? Because the Taconis and all of them have already gone through, right? Right? Like, I think those are also possibilities that they'll go through it and they'll find, like, dead guards and stuff like that because, yeah. Something in chat. What's up, Jason? Hey, welcome in. I think they might find more celestial bones and stones to gain power that way, since Oxus has the Book of Stones too. That would be interesting, like a video game almost, where like you have the Stone of Night Song base edition, and as you're traveling the world, you find like more celestial bone pieces or fragments, and they like combine. But I don't think that specific, like my example, is going to happen, because it's supposed to just be like this rib bone piece. Kaylee says, I think the biggest thing I want to know right now is what is haunting or connected to Julian. Yeah, so I, of course, was on the he's going to be an Echo Knight train, and instead he ended up as some homebrew subclass called the Daredevil, which I want to know more about now because we got nothing other than the fact that he had, what was it, Riding the Edge, and that got changed because of all the edging jokes. So, like, That's it. That's all we got from that. Yeah. Must admit, my predictions were wrong. Oh, it's the same Tabasco. I was digging the Discord chat, but it's become too many people watching 1.5 speed, skipping their ad breaks. Then, I get that. And so I don't typically try to comment on future stuff that's happened. But, I mean, I don't want to watch their ad segment. So I'm always going to be a little bit ahead. And I can't, I guess I can enforce, hey, if you're going to skip the ad segment, you can't talk about it. But then that defeats the purpose. Right? Because then they can't ever talk about the episode because other people didn't skip the ad segment. And so they're right. It's hard. There's not a great solution to it because you can't force everybody to watch it the same way. Right? I know I'm not going to. So I try not to say this is going to happen. Right? I don't think I've outright said anything like that. But I can't force people to not skip the ads. People are watching on Twitch and people are watching on Beacon, and they're going to be on two different playing fields with stuff because the break gets skipped automatically on, this and that. So yeah. But I totally understand. Jimmy, I totally understand. And maybe I do have to make two channels, but then it's just do I have enough people talking about it to populate a Twitch chat and a Beacon chat channels, right? Yeah, but I definitely know what you're saying. I like lurking myself, and having chat is nice. Totally fair, Sherry. Good to see you. Osman sounds like something related to bone, and so does Chalcidian. Is this the technical name for celestial bone material the stone is made out of? Very well could be. That's not. I saw somebody else comment about that too, and Osman and Chalcidian and being related to bone and all that sort of stuff. Yo, what's up, Grim Knight? Do we find a dead celestial? I don't know. I don't think they bring him back to kill him, so I don't think we find a dead one. Big Bunky says, I like to talk mechanics and rules in chats, especially during combat, but that's generally frowned upon CR chat communities. Well, it depends on how you do it. If the only comments you're putting are they're using that wrong, or that's, they should have done this instead. If you're in chats just saying they're doing stuff wrong and this is how I would have done it and this is the better way to do it, then I can understand why people are okay. But if it's discussing that's a really cool ability, or I used that one time this way and stuff, there are ways to do it where I think it could be acceptable. But yeah. I think they all get some sort of artifact legendary item that levels up with him. Cadigan already has his quiver. Tayor is taking bracers. Comparatively, Stone and Night Song seems best so far. So curious about that Daredevil class. Same, Kuro. And that's the thing that caught me off a lot. Because I was so set on the Echo Knight and the Curse. And then it was just nope. And that was this Daredevil homebrew thing that they made, and I want to know about it. I'm gonna guess we're gonna end up getting in a book or something that they're going to sell. Excited for Valus and Taisha level up. Yep, I gotta say the level ups happening probably the complete opposite direction I thought they would. Yeah, I mean it's hard to predict because you don't know what's gonna be thrown at them and where their mind's at. Larry says, I will say I've watched them since season 1, and let me tell you, watching Ashley and her dice rolls and her reaction gets me every time, because honestly, I've always had so many crit fails. She does have some terrible luck a lot of the time. She really does, and she does react well to it. She has some funny moments. So I'm with that. Reed says, should have been walk the line and open to some Johnny Cash quips. There you go. Is Daredevil a special fighter row crossover? That would be interesting if it was a multi-class subclass. That'd be kind of neat. A multi-class subclass? I don't think because he was I'm going to level and fire to hit this. I don't know, but that's an interesting idea. I think Tertia is still there, but deranged and deformed and kept under protections. Ooh, okay. So you're thinking that when they said the line about Tertia being gone, what did they say? What'd she say? I will miss her dearly. Thwarted the grafting of calcidial prosthesis. I will miss her dearly. So you're saying maybe she's actually alive. She's just so jacked up. David says, I suspect Daredevil is like Swashbuckler with more risk. At least that feels the direction character is going. What is a Swashbuckler with more risk, though? Connor says, I have Beacon, but I purposely watch on YouTube, so I'm not ahead for the live chat. And that's totally fair. That's totally fair. And I think that's a great way to do it. I'm not going to, because with taking notes and stuff, there's no way. There's no way. I simply can't. So again, then I try to not be, posting too much. I'll react to what you guys are saying in the chat versus like, oh, I'm 10 minutes ahead. I know this is going to happen. I'll wait and then respond when somebody else says something. What do you think of Brennan using death saving throws as currency to help the PCs? Seems like it is happening outside of Desperate Measures mechanic. What do you mean outside of it? Oh, where he would just said, like, I typically allow people to just take a reroll for a death save? So what mechanics here just don't obsess? Yeah. I've started being vague so as not spoiling, but sometimes something happens. I want to talk about it. Last week, the first thing that we came back to was matching his skill name, and I laugh. Yeah. Late to the part, but let's go. What up, John? Welcome in, welcome in. I was walking around. I loved that scene. Reed, I loved it, where she just kind of did that like robot scooting left and right thing at the table. She was kind of just, wow, I'm just missing walking around. I loved that. Do you think the dead in general are haunting Julian, or souls with a specific grudge against him? I was leaning towards souls with a specific grudge. Because again, I was thinking it was going to be Theozy or something related to him and an Echo Knight and him spitting on the body during the Orcish ritual and stuff like that. But now it seems like that's just going to be its own thing, separate from that. So, or proceed. Yeah, it could be something like that, Famine. I was totally swayed that it was Echo Knight too. Daredevil being a risky fighter sounds cool. I like the idea of Swashbuckler or Life on the Edge style, but made for fighters. Yeah. Hero, what's up? They did say a partial success. Wait, what? A partial success for what? Hero? What are we talking about? I like the idea also of Octus doing something with that Scorpion. Was the Stone Octus Calcidio prosthesis that was need to transform him? That is what we're being led to believe. So I don't know if, I think these are like separate things. I think there's like the bringing back the Celestial, and then I think these other things are different, like the calcited prosthesis and all that, like turning somebody into, or maybe not, maybe they need a body, maybe they need a person to be able to do it, which then I'm like, well, why would they just have taken Octus's heart instead of doing the rest of it, right? Like, why wouldn't they just take him? So I'm all sorts of confused. I don't know if they're the same thing, like the prosthesis and the bringing back the Celestial. I don't know. Makes sense with the risky death saves things too. Could be a mechanic in a future book too. Yeah. I look forward to tonight, eventual tailgate episode. The fight on the bridge with Tyranny's sister is one of my favorites, so it'll be fun for the seers. So I agree, Cameron. I really did think that was a well-designed fight. Like the mechanics and stuff. It was like a 3-party fight, right? You had the Dakona's folks, you had the sisters, and you had the party, and then like the ballistas, and like the map looked so cool with the, like the bridge and all that. I thought that was really cool. David says, if I remember correct, Swash has counter, more fencing style, more risk might mean more tanking, more damage. Well, the main thing with Swashbuckler is that you can take an attack and then move away without provoking an attack of opportunity. And you can get a sneak attack in a one-on-one fight. So I don't know, like, okay, so it would be more risk as in you don't get to move without provoking, but you get some other benefit sort of thing. Greenbone Saga says, when you reply to a message, please read it clearly. You often skim it aloud. Yeah, it's to be fast and like catch them on messages, but I can understand that it might not be pleasant for you guys on your end. So I will try to be better about that. But sometimes it's just me trying to catch up and be quick and be like, I don't know that everybody cares to hear this. Like they're going to get my response, but I get what you're saying. Maybe it's Julian's father. Well, he's dead. Daniel says, we're going to start the Seeker's story with a conversation with Pascard. What do we think went down in the temple? His response of just saying like it was chaos. I don't know with it. Clearly he means like multiple parties. Like there was just like a lot going on and maybe he didn't know who was on whose side. That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, we should start with Valus doing the Speak with Dead with Piscard. So that will be interesting. The church experiment was called a partial success. It said final experiment was a partial success, but largely failure. It is my opinion that Tertia's innate gifts and connection to the Tenebral Reaches thwarted the grafting of the Calcidio prosthesis. I will miss her dearly. Maybe the Haunted Shadow is something for Soul Knife or some shadow-based rogue homebrew. Also possible. What is the cold open supposed to be tonight? I think it's going to be Wick, Chrome. I think it's going to be Wick. What if the death or spirits around Julian are his family members watching out for him? Can't explain Thiazi being with him if he's not Echo Knight, unless it is expanded later. Well, I don't think it's somebody related to Julian, because it did... Well, I guess we don't know for sure. But it was pointed out after he did the spitting on the corpse during a orcish rite, like funeral rites. So I think it's related to that, even if it's not an Echo Knight sort of thing. Didn't Gaia also have specters around her? Could Julian and Gaia be haunted by the people they killed? Could the Nightlands being close to the Dakonas and death allow the dead to haunt them? Maybe. Yeah, I was curious about why Taisha and... Wait, did Taisha have to make a save? Or was it just Julian? I think Octus didn't have to, right? Octus and... I thought it was 2 players and then the NPCs had to make saves. And Julian just failed his. Theory crafting. Oh, 100%, David. I get you. Candlegal. Hey, welcome, Ed. Good to see you. I'm hoping the code open focuses on Hal. I think it's going to be... Wick. Laney Platt says, in response to the discussing rules during NCR chats, I think the community can be a bit overprotective, take Dimble to up and fighting deal, or even just posting how a rule works. I mean, I agree, and I have on multiple occasions, both in my videos as well as during the live chats, pointed out that everybody's like, oh, Thimble's so powerful, she's kicking butt, but she's also being played incorrectly to her benefit, which I don't think is malicious. I don't think it's intentional, but I've pointed it out many times, but I'm not doing it in a way where I'm like, oh, everything's ruined and I hate Laura Bailey. I'm just saying, like, she's doing it wrong. She seems more powerful because of it. It is what it is. But I agree. People are very defensive, very defensive. But it's also hard to read people on the internet. So everybody thinks somebody's saying something meaner than they are. It'd be like a prestige class from 3rd edition. Yeah, buddy, I got a book of prestige classes right back there from 3rd edition. Surely the only multi-class. No, Famine. We also have Azune, who is a sorcerer paladin. Tertia was Univere's sibling or something. Correct. Tertia, Univere, and Docet are siblings that we know of, at least those 3. It could be some who is literally called Chaos. A possibility. Hamza says, Wick flashback involving his girlfriend or crush is my bet for cold open. I agree with you, Hamza. 100%, that is where my mind is at with it. I think that's what we're going to end up getting. What if the best Thiazi can manage to communicate with allies beyond death is vengefully haunting Julian? That's how he's trying to get everything through. He's just trying to vengefully haunt Julian. He's like, why aren't they understanding me? I believe it's Zune's ultimate class. Yep. Yep. I think Julian's curse is just a basic curse caused by the druid protections of Thiazi's body. That's where I'm at with it now. Yeah, now that he's not an Echo Knight, I'm just like, oh, okay. I guess that's that. I'm welcoming everybody to the Discord. So Mobius, welcome in. I already did Luke. Let me click wave to say hi to all you guys. You all just got notifications. Don't worry, it's just me waving to you in Discord. And just Pally should be fun. Yeah, no, he's a Pally Sork. Cold open might be a setup for schemers. Also a possibility. They could change things up and do that. But if they were following the same pattern, then it should be Wick. Because it seems like they were going a soldiers, schemers, soldiers, schemers, and then like rotating different people. And we haven't seen Wick. So. Very curious about how Wick's family got rid of that girl. I forgot her name. So did I. It's probably in my notes if we ever got it, but Are the Tenebral Reaches supposed to be one of the realms from the D&D cosmology, like the ethereal plane? Yeah, planes lore is similar because it's kind of like the Golden Orchard is located between Fairy and here, and then the Tenebral Reaches are located between here and Death. I was saying they get rid of. Oh, maybe that's true. Tales of Exandria on TikTok says maybe it was the Taylors that got rid of the girl. If she's actually been gotten rid of in that sense, like if she was killed versus like sent away. Armis is this girl's name. Okay. Yep. Woman through house. She disappeared. Tyranny's out from her picture. Armis is the woman's name. That is correct. The other time I have it written in my notes is him talking about missing Armis, his previous lover, and then them talking about how they should get her. So I guess they still think she's alive. Yeah. Well, they at least think that. I don't know that it's confirmed, like they know, but I think they think that. I don't know how anybody can be defensive. Thimmel's really overpowered. Yeah, but it's not defensive in the sense, it's just they think you're... There are the people who do not care at all whether it's balanced, whether it's mechanically played accurately, whether there's any... Like, all they care about is the people acting. Like, it's strictly acting. It's not a game. It doesn't have mechanics. Those things don't exist in their view. And so they take offense because they're just like, who cares? So there's just, you know, people watch it for different reasons. I believe both are important. I don't tune in to watch, you know, 5 people play improv make-believe. I tune in to watch those people play Dungeons and Dragons. So that's where I have a little bit of like, I'm in an in-between. I enjoy all that other stuff, but that's, to me, is a part of playing the game of Dungeons and Dragons. Sunovini Azune's subs. I don't know 2024 515E at all, but I don't remember a sorcerer sub. And in 2014, Pally gets sub at level 3. Do we know his oath? Well, in 2024, everybody gets it at 3. So Azune does not have a subclass. Until he levels up, he does not have anything. I also started to think Ashley forgot Valus learned about the curse at the Palazzo. Yeah, well, she mentioned it. I think she finally said something about it like an episode or 2 ago. But it was very just like, you're cursed, or you have a shadow always with you. Something like that. It was just very like, boop, and then just moved on. Maybe not exact, but seeing a lot of similarity in cosmology. I'm really enjoying the cold opens. Otherwise, I would have forgotten what was happening at the other tables weeks ago. Hero, I think that's very important. I think that's the reason that they did it, but also to show that like the world is still moving at different times, so they don't get too out of sync. So I think it's helped with that. More reason for Wick to be against his fam. Agree. The other Daniel says, do you think tonight is going to be a split episode with Seekers and Schemers? No. No, I think they have a ton of stuff, Daniel. And I also think based on the post they made, they said tonight would be the finale of the Seekers, and then they're taking next week off, and then the week after they'll come with the Schemers. That makes me think that they are separate versus... Yeah. Luke, I don't know if you're aware you joined one of the voice chats in my Discord. If you want to be in there, that's cool. I just noticed you were in there after you joined, and I don't know if that was on purpose. Because I've seen other people do it on accident. So I've arrived. Time to get mid. What's up, heathen? Blitz comment, welcome in, good to see you. What if Julian has a haunted Peter Pan thing going on for subclass and his connection to Fae like Shadow Stitched? Daredevil, the name Daredevil for a subclass doesn't strike me as something that would have that, but it's completely possible. Maybe the Daredevil thing is that he gives into the shadow to like get a benefit, and it's like a, you know, who knows, right? Because we don't know what Daredevil is or any of the mechanics, it's hard to really figure that out, if that makes sense. Like it's now we're really grasping to try to come up with stuff because we don't know anything about that stuff. Murican says, how do you feel about wizards and Ahriman? I really like the spin that sorcerers had a monopoly on magic and wizardry is young and a work in progress. I think that's cool. I think that's really cool. I like the idea that it's kind of fresh and they're figuring it out and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I thought the Patevra had been around a long time. I didn't realize that it was like 40 years ago that they were just trying to make this thing happen and people could do like the most basic of spells and stuff. I think that's really cool. Hamza says, I feel like Arma should be alive just for fun, but seeing how Sid survived, I think Brennan will give us a tragedy. Completely possible, but I also think she should be alive. I agree with that take. Jayhawk says, do you think Aligar will be dying and Octus will bring him back as a lifeless one? Octus seems to be taking command of his powers, and Taisha seems to always be making death saving throws in combat. No. I don't think Octus can do that. I don't know that he has the power to do those sorts of things yet. Maybe he does. Maybe a necromancer. I'm not too familiar with the subclass. So maybe he can. But yeah. I tuned in to learn how to D&D and pick up cues to help with baby DMing. Heck yeah, let's go, Pika. Famine says, I have no proof for this, nor would I want this to be a thing. I actually think I would hate it, but I have a feeling that tyranny somehow host body swaps with love's interest. That's been a thing, and I do not buy into it personally. I know that's gone around a lot if you're talking about what has been discussed in here before. But yeah, I'm not a fan of that theory, and I think it would be super strange if that's how it ended up playing out to be. Scott says, I choose to not worry about the mechanics. I want to enjoy the story. Their tables, their rules. Yeah, well, so for me, it's more about, like, when I point it out, it's because, one, again, I don't think it's intentional. I don't think they're doing it on purpose, and it is causing a large gap between the players. So when they go into a combat, one person is just so much stronger than the rest, and it's not because like they're just playing the game, or it's because they don't know that they're breaking a rule that is making them more powerful. And it is impacting the story. Like, even if you don't think it is impacting the story when the players or the characters start to be like, oh, that person's so strong, or oh, they're the one who gets all the killing blows, or they're the one who gets the killing blow on this important person, or they're the, because of that, like there is some impact there to some degree. Captain says, I'm excited to see the notes for the Daredevil subclass. Me too. I want to know more about it because that'll help us kind of formulate some of these other things. Do you usually run pre-written modules in your own games? Nope, I never have. My game is homebrew. I've made a whole world called Vasilia, 5 different continents, story, all that stuff. Have we seen Julian Shadow do anything to hinder him? Felix said, well, he's had to roll wisdom saves a couple of times, and he has passed them every time. But like David said, pre-mades are fine. That's just not how I got into it. When I was like, I want to be a dungeon master, it was because I had this idea, this vision of like a world and a story and stuff. So that's where I started. I have to sneeze. Dumb basic question, how do sorcerers and wizards differ? I think you got a response right after that. Sorcerers have innate power, wizards have to study and learn how to use magic. Yeah, so the basic idea is that sorcerers are born with it, wizards come to know it, they learn it. Which is why, like, you know, they have their book and they can learn more spells by putting spells in their book. Wizards go to school for magic, sorcerers have innate ability, mechanically, sorcerer has weaker spells, more variety. Yeah, so that is, for instance, the reason that like the Taconis and stuff, and there's that Primus, the father, treating Octus in some of that way is that they're like, why don't you have the innate gifts of being a sorcerer? They see wizards as lesser, right? He even says something about wizards imitating sorcerers because they just want to be like them because they didn't get the gift of sorcery. So it's this disparity of like, I was born with it. Right? Like I have an innate gift versus you have to go in and study and try to mimic what I can do. Like that's kind of how it is in Ahriman with it's how it's being approached is like sorcerers or at least Taconis are a little like, we're better than you. It's the one with the party. I thought it was really cool that with the gods dead, Clarice became in class, but I'm wondering if she's in because she has knowledge. Yeah, that might be some specific thing for them. In terms of are all clerics int based? I don't know that we've met another cleric in the game, at least not outright said. So I think it's tough. Rugger says, for me, the Daredevil seems to be an adrenaline junkie themed subclass that is not afraid to live on the edge between life and death. I'm not sure how that works mechanically. Yeah, no, I think you nailed how thematically it's supposed to be. I think adrenaline junkie live on the edge between life and death. I also think that's kind of where he was going with it, because he says something like riding the edge, but he changed it to whatever he changed it to. I have it in my notes somewhere. But either way, it's the we don't know the mechanically how that works. Like maybe it's a whenever you're bloodied, he gets this benefit, and if he's a quarter health or less, he gets a new benefit. You know, like that sort of thing, or he gets a benefit from taking damage. You know, we'll have to see how it all plays out. Isn't the doctor a cleric? Yeah, Talter's a cleric. Yep. But that's what I was saying. We don't know anybody other than them, is what I was saying. Like, Famine had asked, are all clerics intelligence based, or just the one with the party being Dr. Talter? And I was saying we haven't met any other cleric to know like how it's going to work. It's also why they banned magic in the marketplace. Most Daconists can use subtle spell to pretend they didn't cast anything. Completely reasonable theory there is like, oh, you guys can't do this stuff because wizards, we don't want you to be able to use your magic freely in these places because they don't get that sort of thing. The subclass might connect to desperate measures. That would be interesting if he was like aware enough of the system that him and I'm sure, the designers that they got from D&D, came together and formed something to be built around desperate measures. I don't think that's the case, because it is my belief that just like with their other subclasses, they want to monetize it at some point, and so they're not going to tie it to a specific mechanic that people don't have in their games. Right? Does that make sense? If they want to do like the Blood Hunter and whatever, and have their own source book that they release for stuff, I don't think that they'll build a class specific to that. Yeah, whoever said the divide between source and wizard, interesting, spot on. Feels like a real big subplot for houses. Oh, 100%. 100%. Play Final Fantasy X. Daredevil reminds me of Aurum. The lower his HP, the harder he hits. I loved Final Fantasy X. Completely off topic, but oh man. What a great game. The Faith in Winds idea is so cool. She's one of my favorite NPCs. The Faith in Winds. Why is that not ringing a bell for me? But Harry Potter is an arcane trickster. Oh, we're subclassing Harry Potter now? Yo, what's up, Astro Panda? Welcome in, welcome in. Man. So with the Seekers ending tonight, it just feels like they have so much to get through. Do you guys think we're gonna have a long episode tonight? Or do you think they're just gonna fly through certain parts? Because it feels like they have a lot to get to. Maybe they don't. Maybe I'll be completely off the mark, but when they listed all this stuff towards the end of the episode, it was like 4 or 5 different locations, potential combats. Like, it just feels like there's so much. And it's like, this is the last one, so I'm wondering if it's going to be a longer episode. Truk says, I think Taisha will die trying to save her son, walking the path herself after pulling Octus back from it would be a nice redemption moment. What does she need redemption for? Reed says, I like what Brennan is doing with the sorcerer-wizard dynamic. Feel like I'm going to hate watching it play out in parts over the campaign, but we need some good villains to hate. Totally fair. I'm with it. I don't think I'm not going to have a problem with it. She says she gets powers from the cardinal directions or winds. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I know there was something about her cardinal... let's see. She saw wings in a Barriguard warrior, a tall orcish maid defending against the dead. She says she's a cleric of truth, and her divine cardinal direction gave her a vision, her first one. I don't know if they meant like divine cardinal and like that cardinal direction being like Yeah, I don't know. I just viewed it as like that was like just the way that they described those things, but I could be completely off. All right, but you just having the recap. I mean, pre-show Astro, just having the fun discussions. If it goes like soldiers, this could be a longer episode. Yeah. Murican asks to everyone, what is your favorite sorcerer subclass in terms of flavor, minus storm sorcery? Biko says, didn't it feel like all the room descriptions last week were just barely touched on? Yeah, well, we didn't get like descriptions of rooms per se. We got names. So where is it? So he discovered a term called the Diva Vindicta, which appears to be like the celestial. Like that's basically what that is. Then there's a chamber of the Apotheon Vindicta, which is guarded by the Hall of Demon Guardians. So Apotheon and Hall, those are two separate locations. One is guarding the other. Then there's a long bridge over a subterranean lake to a place called the Apotheotic Obelisk. And then this is either two separate things or the same thing. There's another area that is seemingly a funereal and preparatory chamber. And then there's a chamber underneath the Apotheon Vindicta called the Sepulchre Veil. So it's either 5 different spots and all we got were basically their names, or it's 4 spots and the preparatory chamber and the Sepulchre Veil are the same thing. I was having a hard time figuring that out. Display says my innocence. Wait, what are you talking about? Display on TikTok? Your innocence. Seems like they need extra time or it will be totally rushed and they won't get to explore anything much. But it could also be that it's not designed to be like a super exploratory thing, right? We might have gotten the name of all these places, but like they know that they just need to get to one spot and that's where they're going to go. Scott says, Daredevil will come with the world source book. I suspect we will see some other unique subclasses to go into the world source book. Yeah, probably. Yo, what up, Piratey Steve? Welcome in, welcome in. Famine says, I don't know what the final destination. Oh, Sonny, welcome in with a $1.99 super chat. Something in the chat. Hey, thanks, Sonny. Dang, are you just now hearing that? Are you very far behind, Sonny, or are you caught up? Thank you, though. All right. I don't know what the final destination is, but assuming we are saving or revenging Sun and then returning to the main city. Okay, I feel like a 5-hour game if we were just getting Sun 3 hours. Okay. There you go. I probably misheard. It's possible, Hamza, but I also could have misunderstood that part. Emma, what's up? Welcome in. Hey, everyone. Totally agree and hoping we will be a long one. Hoping won't be first PC death. Not just yet. I'm still under the impression that he's not trying to kill anybody in this initial arc with any group, but it's always possible. Bomaruski, hey, what up? Octus winning me over with his attack descriptions. Really enjoying Alex the last few weeks. Yeah, he's coming into his own with his character and all that stuff. I've been enjoying that. He's started to be, it's interesting. It's not the direction I thought his character progression would go. Because, you know, I knew he was in that naive space, right? He was kind of that really shy boy who was just so uncertain of himself and not confident. But now he's being confident, but almost in a Taconis way. Like, I feel like he's been more aggressive, a little more rude, a little more like, I'm important, don't forget I'm the Taconis. And I thought he was going to come into himself, but like against his family. And so it's interesting the direction that it's kind of gone. Mine is Dragon Blood. It's the only one I've played. Eminem started turning me into a half dragon. Unfortunately, party TPK'd before I could find out his final plan. Rest in peace. Sonny, once again, thank you for that super chat. Appreciate that. David says, Octus as a character was a real risk. Could have been great or terrible. That goes for you too. Do you got a favorite flavor or sorcerer? No, I don't. I've never played a sorcerer. So I have no idea. I don't know. In terms of casters, I've played a cleric, I've played a paladin, and I briefly played a druid, and I didn't love it. Well, Taisha is a druid of the old path. She is supposed to encourage people to walk it, but when she wanted Octus to come back, she betrayed her circle's teachings. Mosh the Druid too. Yeah, it's saying that like that wasn't. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's some gray area there, but I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. Stephanie, what's up? Welcome in. Hi, I still don't think Brennan will kill no one in the first arcs. Yeah, that's where my mind's at with it. I don't think he will absolutely stop it if that's just how things go, but I don't think he's gunning for it. That's where my mind is with it. Dr. Caliban says, thoughts on D&D introducing weapons that level up with you, like vestiges? I think it makes sense. They've been around, right? They've been homebrewed, and then you had the vestiges with Critical Role, and you, right? Like, I don't think vestiges were the first time anybody ever did something like that. So I think it's fair with them doing it. It's what that's going to come out in the Unleashed Arcana in September. Reed says top sorcerer subclasses for me: Divine, Clockwork, and Draconic. Chrome says maybe Azune will be a new subclass too. Completely possible if he chooses to go up in Sorcerer. Sleep Starved says maybe Octus acting that way is because he's now more connected to death than he was in life, so now he's more living up to his family's name. Completely possible. It's just a unique direction. It's not where I thought he was going to go. So that has definitely been an interesting thing to see. Reed says clerics are great. Mordos says Divine Soul Sorcerer for sure. Yeah, a lot of people like that one. David says it's interesting to see how different Wick and Octus started. Similar, but too wildly, yeah, very, very different in how they're going. Chrome likes Aberrant Mind. Piratey says, not sure if anyone mentioned this, but Brendan read off a lot of locations they did last week. Maybe enough that the Seeker's second arc will still be in these ruins. We just went over that, Piratey. Yeah, I listed out the different locations. It's either 4 or 5 locations, because I'm unsure if the last one was actually the same location, like the last 2 were the same location or not. Because he said, one, he didn't give a name. He said it was like a preparatory chamber, like a funeral preparatory chamber. And then there was the Sepulchre Vale. And I don't know if they were the same, but then there were the other rooms as well. So there were several locations that, yeah, either they're going to get through it really fast, or it's going to be a long episode, or they're not going to get through it all. We're just going to swap groups. I will say again, for anybody who doesn't know and doesn't have their finger completely on the pulse, like cool people like me, tonight is the finale. So Seekers are ending tonight, guaranteed. There is no episode next week at all. And then the Schemers are going to be back on the 19th of March. Dungeon Master gave me story point full dragon transformations, but it wasn't something I could choose to do. It was everyone had this thing happen and you feel like the blood calling out for revenge. You let it happen. Do you let it happen? Interesting. Were you okay with that? Or did you feel like you were having, like, oh, this isn't where I wanted to go with it? I like wild magic, not gonna lie. We have a wild magic sorcerer in the game that just started on Saturday. We got TPK'd last Saturday, so a new Dungeon Master took over because it's a 6-hour game, and we were TPK'd in like the first 2 hours. So now somebody else took over, and one of the players just created a wild magic sorcerer. The effortless line from Primus hits hard. Now, not only does Octus need conscious effort to cast spells, now he needs effort just to stay alive. Have you seen the theory about Azune being a draconic bloodline sorcerer? I have not. But with the eyes and stuff, I can see where it's going. And they really stepped up on that one, which is crazy. All they really did was change who controls it. The DM Amy says those chamber names weren't just throwaways. No, I agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah, I don't think there's been any mentions of dragons either, Reed. Which is, I mean, it's a fair question. Like, are there dragons? And what is their role in this? Like, we know, like, giants apparently were super important. And then you had, like, the colossi and stuff. But we don't really know about dragons or if they're there. I think people were thinking one of the houses was going to be connected to it, but then they ended up being connected to something else. The Jinn, right? Cormorants. So that's a good question. Are there dragons in Ahriman, and what is their role? Dalgo, what's up, dude? Welcome in. Who are the cloak? Yeah, who are the cloak? What's Osment? What's up with the drowned men? Chalcidian? I mean, there are so many questions. So many questions. I'm very excited for the schemers. Can't wait to see a divination wizard in action. What's up, Tannesar? Yeah, that'll be fun. Azune might be a dragon in disguise. Well, I don't know. His upbringing, the whole flashback with him and being like in the super poor village with everybody, and I don't. That didn't strike me as like we're dragons. When was it revealed Cormorant were Jinn? I think that was their when we got their banner and stuff. Let's see if I can find it. I posted the picture somewhere. House of Cormorant of Selmir descends from the Jinn, the ancient elementals of Ahriman. They are the House of Scrolls. It is in my Discord in the Critical Role channel. You just have to scroll up a little bit. Giant birds versus dragons. Let's go. Oh yeah, the birds are so huge. Maybe the dragons in the world were replaced by giant birds, giant eagles. Cormorant banner and house description confirmed they are related to Jinn. Yep. Someone summoned a drake during a flashback of the Shaper's War. Yeah, I mean that's not exactly the same thing, but fair enough. Have a nice game. Need to go. All right, peace out, Jose. Scott says, I think they are setting where the Seekers are at up for them to come back later in the campaign for a much bigger fight. Feel like there's a lot going on in that location. Yeah, there's just it feels like there's so much lore. It feels like there's just so much here that the idea that they're just going to finish it tonight is I mean, it really is like, how? But I trust them to figure it out. I trust Brennan have put something together and that it's gonna work out as best as it can. So I wouldn't mind no dragons. Yeah, why not? Dragons are super important in my homebrew world, but they've also basically like not been seen until very late because they had all gone off to fight in this war in Vrakthir. It's a whole thing. There's a lot of lore there, but yeah. Crumb says, I assumed the cloak was like a single rogue, not a faction. You think so? Okay. I hadn't thought about that. I assumed the cloak were maybe what they were referring to the drowned men as, because they wear like their robes or whatever. I don't know. Oh, maybe the slain gods were dragons. That would be interesting. I don't think I'm biting on that one, but that would be interesting. New info on major houses was put up recently. Yeah, that's where it was. Fam says, him learning is going words of power like the Evans of Aragon is a fun concept to me. Brennan does love his birds. Everything is birds. Yeah, like get rid of the dragons. Just do giant birds. Kolingen says they're going to need to find some potions or something after that battle. Yeah, they're just, we're not going to short rest. Like, we're just going to keep going. And I'm like, I understand narratively being like, no, my son is in danger down here. Oh, we need to stop whatever's going to happen. But at the same time, you're like, guys, you're not in great shape, and you know that there's a big danger ahead, right? Like, where do you draw the line? Dragons to birds evolution. Life always finds a way. Perfect. With birds would definitely be in character for Britain. Yep. I think they will finish looking around Tannesar and cut once they're heading out from there. So do you not think that stuff's going to happen here? Like, do you not think that they're not going to go through those chambers and do all that and like potentially see a ritual or come across the remnants of a celestial being made and all that sort of stuff? Sleepstar says, I still think each of the sundered houses correlate to an alignment, but I also wonder if they are also, if it also goes with a creature type. Fan, dead, celestial, elemental. Yeah, well, no, that part is 100%. The sundered houses have all been connected to something, right? You have giants, fae, undead, celestial, Jinn. Seemed like the cloak was a different group from the drowned men. Yeah, well, so it's, I'm just saying, I agree it did seem that way, but we didn't see other bodies, I feel like. We saw drowned men, or who we were assuming are, because Piscard. if that person was right and the drowned men did beat them to it, because we know Piscard ended up with the coffin of Olbalad. Edwin says, how did it feel to be TPK'd? Did it deflate the group, or did you just go on and redo everything? It just happens. Always wondered about that. This was, so I've only ever been TPK'd twice, and they both happened in the last year, and they were both from the same Dungeon Master. He runs a very, it definitely at times feels very player versus Dungeon Master. And it is very consequential. Everything is basically pass for half. You never escape anything. There's always damage. Some stuff, it's like you get no save, there's no attack roll. He's just like, boom, take this damage. That's the legendary action. You just take this, blah, blah, blah. And that group has been playing together for a really long time. I've been in the group about 2 years, but some of them have been playing together for 10 plus years. And they just kind of roll with it. I mean, during the fight, when it was obvious that like this fight is just terrible and we're about to get rocked, and I hit one time. I attacked twice in one round. We were level 8. So I went miss, hit. That's all I did before I was dead by round 3. I was a paladin. And yeah, so, you know, first round I had to put my shield on. Because they follow that rule. Like, you have to, it takes an action to don your shield. So I donned my shield, cast Shield of Faith on myself, and then I was dead by the time like round 3 came around. But yeah. So I don't know. At that table, you just kind of roll with it, but there is a little bit of being demoralized while it's playing out, and you're like, this is stupid, and we're all going to die, and then you all die, and then you're like, okay, well, who's running the next one? Then you move on. Do all the vassal houses represent different creatures or just the Saramai? Yeah, that's an interesting. So we know about the Sundered houses, not so much the vassal houses. Because they're like the serpents, and then scorpions were that other vassal house we learned about last week. Octus supposedly saw Tannesar in that memory. I'm convinced that the priest was talking to Tyranny's that vat of oil, not Tannesar. Oh, interesting. Dragons are made part of my players. Follow any plot threads. Regarding lack of rest, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Yeah. I think that's going to be the bulk of this episode. Maybe dragons were a threat to the gods and were hunted. That could result in some dragons staying in human form to hide for centuries like druids. Interesting. Cloaked was a specific drowned men. The cloak, also possible. It could be that it's just a single person. The cloak could be Heladil, maybe a side group he runs. I'm not entirely buying this family man shtick. I am mostly because Liam has said in different other like outside the game content that he's like, I finally made a character that's just like a normal family man, yada. Now you could be lying to us, but I don't think he is in that regard. I think he finally tried to make a not tragic backstory character, and then immediately Brennan was like, your brother dies. So. Denathrin says, Tannesar seems like a lore-heavy area. Are we thinking Osment equals undead version of Filament? And Filament counteracts Osment, Sun, First Dark, and Death, as Halivars are immune to the procedure. Yeah, that was another interesting thing where we found out the Halivars couldn't be affected by that. Will the Seekers find a reason to return to Damakiar, so all 3 groups will be together for possibly a new break into new groups? I think we're definitely getting, of course, soldiers and schemers. I don't know that the Seekers will get there in time and all that will happen. Because I think they still want to go to the Golden Orchard. Unless they find something out, or like they end up finding out that like, yes, it was destroyed and yada, yada, and they don't chase after Lady Aranessa and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know that they will. I think the other 2 groups may meet up and do some swapping around. True says sorcerers, creatures, and their divinos are just the hand throwers. Just be punching people with gauntlets. Could the cloak be Belair? Well, I don't, Connor, I don't think he said it was all caps. He just said it was capitalized, as in like a noun, right? Not a, like the fabric, like a I'm wearing a cloak sort of thing. Like it was more of like, it was a proper thing. I don't think he said it was all caps. I think it was capitalized. The cloak was capitalized, or the cloaks. Say cloaks or cloak? Said the cloak is moving faster than anticipated. And the cloak was capitalized. How many Schemer episodes until Brennan takes out Hal's family? Oh, man. Well, wasn't he sending off his Shadia to spend time with Hero or something like that? To, like, separate from being around the family? Or I think that was happening, right? Piratey says, and will the three groups remain the Seeker, Schemers, and Soldier? Maybe we'll get the Assassins, the Archaeologists, and the Rebels, or some such for the next arcs. I could see it. Don't get me wrong, I could see it, but I hope not. I don't think we need these name table things based on whatever, especially if they're going to change. I'm not like exceptionally interested in that. I'm also like, I don't care. Like, it's not going to bother me, but I'm just like, I don't think we need it. David says, honestly, if the Seekers pause here, other two groups might meet at current locations since it's so lore dense. All caps or just capitalized? I thought he said just capitalized. I didn't realize too recently that the lore of the Valor Bard is people who tell stories of great heroes of the past. Now I'm almost completely convinced Hal is Valor Bard. Because of, like, the theater and telling stories and stuff, I could see that. Sent away for her safety, yes. Einra, welcome in, says, yeah, you sent her to Elodie. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. The pens for the three tables suggest that they're going to stick with these groupings for a while. That's true. They did create merch around, like, these names for the groups and stuff. So if they swapped them, you know, there'd just be, I don't know, maybe they want to monetize it. And they just put out another one, and then another one, and then another one. I don't think it's incorrect. I think it's a homebrew rule of Brennan's. Wait, what are we talking about? Dr. Caliban, what are we talking about? And not Cloak. That's so I also took it to be a group called the Cloak. I could see, like, the way it's written, it could be a person. Right? It says a new source of Cassidian has revealed itself, but we need to move quickly. The Cloak is moving faster than anticipated. Or what if it's like the Cloak is like the name of an enemy or a presence, like the Cloak being Shadow or the Cloak being what's covering the veil. Like, you know, it could be something like that as well. Said all caps, so understand some confusion. Remember, Def said just capitalized. That's what I thought, Emma. That's what I thought. Was just capitalized. I didn't know somebody had reported it as all caps. Also, because Hal's going to be using a magic sword. That seems to be potentially his leveling up weapon. I think the tables and their motives will stay the same, but the players might change. I agree. Well, I don't know about motives. I think motives will change over time because some don't have like a super heavy motive or their motive isn't as based. So. Or whatever is attached to Julian. Yeah, we don't know anything about that at this point. I think with the Schemers set up the table change like they did with the Seekers. Yeah, I think that they're going to match with the Soldiers first. Because the Soldiers are going back to literally engage with some of them. Thinking ahead to the Schemers, it'll be interesting to see how things work. They all have separate jobs, and we could get Brennan dealing with one Schemer at a time. Or I don't think they'll do that for the fact that it's a game. It's not a real life sim. I don't think he's going to be like, well, you got to go clock into work. So you can come meet with the group when you're off guard duty or when you're done at the, you know, whatever, or you're right. Like, or they'll just time jump that. They'll be like, okay, you're all at work. Nothing important happens. Or, you know, they'll get these individual scenes at work and then like to progress something like maybe Lady Cormorant shows up at the Arcanod and talks to Bolaire for a second. And then they, you know, skip ahead to after work, everybody meeting together to talk about what their next plan is. But I don't think they're going to like have them go through like, you know, job sims and stuff like that, and have them all have to like individually do their job. That's just would be terrible for a D&D game, I feel like, and that as a viewing experience too. If it was a group, the proper grammar seems wrong. Be the cloak are moving, not is moving. That's true, but again, like people speak differently than what is like necessarily grammatically correct, right? So yes, if you nitpick it specifically, are versus is important, but I wouldn't bet all my marbles on the fact that when they said is moving faster instead of are. So because I also think when it's an organization, you say is. Like if it's as a whole, right? You would still say is rather than are. Pretty sure. Right? Like you wouldn't say I'm trying to think of a random organization. I was going to say Fox and CNN, but Google are, no, you'd say Google is, right? So I think. Was a group already read that? All the PCs can get fired from their jobs, and those exactly. It could be that, or it's something really bad happens, and so they all end up having to leave their jobs, and maybe they'll also have to run from the city, and all things will be terrible. Hmm. Any fun theories for this next episode? Like tonight? Oh, I had something earlier, and I don't know if this is the case, but it's a fun thought that they'll find Aligar and the thing happening, and they'll have to choose between. Like they'll either have to save Aligar or they'll have to stop the Taconis from completing whatever their evil plan is. That's my take. Is versus R is easy when you're a pirate. I always say R. That Piratey Steve was well done. That was well done, Piratey Steve. That was well done. I think Murray getting a constant irritant from stuff going on inside the Penteveril is important for her to keep going, so I don't think she will lose her job. I think she's going to burn it from inside out. Yeah, well, that was kind of the idea from all of them, is that they're all in places that are kind of being infringed upon by other powers. And so, yeah, I don't know that they're all going to move out of those positions. I just don't know if Brennan's going to be running it in that way. Right? Like, I don't know that he's going to be like, okay, you're all having to clock in at work. Here are your tasks for the day, or here's what's happening, you know, like that sort of thing. Oh, I also just realized for some reason, I think I lost my TikTok chat. If anybody has been over there typing to me and I've been ignoring you, it was not on purpose. I don't know why that happened. But I think I fixed it. So, okay. Denethrin says, I have a feeling that there's going to be something that Taconis and Halvar are working on to assume power as their shapers before them and bring back Celestial to instill fear. Yeah, well, it's also, does the Taconis, like, do they know that the Halavars have a Celestial in the basement? Or are they unaware? Because at this point, if they don't know, then they're getting a Celestial. The Halavars already have a Celestial, and now both of those houses have Celestials. Mind you, the one in the basement seems to have gone mad, like the other Celestials that went crazy. Will the new one also be insane when it's being brought after the gods are already dead versus they were alive during the gods and then the gods died, and that's what made them go crazy? I'm intrigued by that. Dennis says also Olbalad. Is that the trickster god that we're talking about in the coffin? No. The trickster god's name, I can't remember off the top of my head. I can't remember if it starts with an R or something. No, Olbalad was the halfling angel of death. So Olbalad was essentially the one who ferried for the... so Olbalad was also known as the Sister of Mists, the halfling angel of death. That's what I have in my notes. Yeah, so that's who Olbalad is. Yeah, I think after Schemer's arc, they and soldiers will mix, potentially because some of them will need seek asylum and leave some safer ones to scheme. Yeah, I think that there will be some sort of moving around and mixing up when it comes to that. Gene says, do you think the sacrifice they mentioned in episode 14 has to do with Octus? Sacrifice. What sacrifice? Oh, I'm guessing you're referencing this. A new source of Chalcidian has revealed itself, but we need to move quickly. The cloak is moving faster than anticipated. If the obelisk holds fast in Tannesar, does the sacrifice itself need to happen in Tannesar? Okay, so you're wondering if maybe that's what they were like, hey, does Octus have to be there when we take his heart out? Yeah, that could be. That could be, Gene. American says, if anything, their jobs might serve as stakes. If someone plays their cards bad and loses the job, a lot of influence with the houses. Cool. A swords bard, but probably not. Yeah, that feels unlikely, but also possible. They could turn different paths that we don't know. Famine says, I don't think it's going to be a job sim for a 3-hour game, but I think we'll be letting important workday screens that the party acts on, like someone disrupts plays, so how it brings them to. Yeah, no, I think that we'll have some scenes with people being at like their respective workplaces. Daniel says, the Oblate artifact the Dakotas were looking for was the box that Piscard had that he gave to Taisha and Octus that they brought back to the house, and that the word thimble unlocked, and then Taisha touched it, passed out, and it's the one that Belair and Murray studied for a bit and also threw something into. They never heard it hit the ground. This dude says, respectfully, what the F is this, bro? What are you talking about? This is the Critical Role pre-show. Reed says, wait. We were told the Celestials went mad after the Shapers were killed, but doesn't that conflict with what we just learned that the Celestials were meant to be made in the event of... So the ones who were already alive went crazy. So that's where I'm now curious if a newly created one is fresh and won't be insane, or if it will. That I am interested in. We don't quite have the answer to that. Stone Memory was about bringing back Tanzel, the god himself, not so I don't think. No, I think it was specifically about bringing a Celestial. Now, he said he would come back, but... let's see. Here's something from episode 16. Tannesar was a ruined oracular location that was referenced by Halavar and Takonis as being a site associated with their houses. It was called a place of wings because it was a place to summon celestial aid, a promise made from Tanzel to its followers. Through more dialogue with Dr. Talter, she unveils that Tannesar was created such that Tanzel's death could be avenged if Asgra ever killed him. It was an insurance policy. So I don't think it was ever outright stated that like it could do that. It was, I think it was leaned into with things we've learned that it was a celestial they could bring back, but we also know that the Halabars and the Dakonas sided with the gods, and this could be trying to bring them back. This dude says, I'm freaking dead. Goodbye. Okay, peace out, dude. Tanzel says, ever sets the sun into the west, land of shadow. Does the sun not vanish with the coming of each and every night? Ages like days come and go in the long march of time. Know that a day may come where I am gone, but a day will come where I return. Yeah, I mean, it could be. I don't think we know for sure, but it could be that they're actually not trying to bring back a celestial. That is possible. Daniel with another super chat. Thank you for the $5 super chat. They found petrification antivenom, and Gaia confirmed that this is for protection against basilisks. How many basilisks do we think they run into? Hopefully just one. Hopefully just one. But we don't know if they're still there either. But I would think just that. But it's not just specifically for basilisks. It's just petrification. So if something else causes it, then that would work for that too. But she basically just said like, yeah, that's what that could be used for. Or that confirmation was Brennan saying like, yes, it's going to be basilisks. Yeah, this dude person who popped in, they were on the vertical version of the YouTube stream, so they're probably somebody who was just scrolling and then was like, "What is this?" So yeah, for anybody who's on the vertical side, if you want to watch full screen, that is of course also available. If you just click on my YouTube page, both live streams are there. Click the one that doesn't have vertical in the thumbnail and the title, and you'll get to the full screen one. A lot more people in chat over there, but you can watch wherever you want. Doesn't bother me at all. What if the trickster god fakes his death and is orchestrating things behind the scenes? Would be an interesting twist. It's just something I've seen with the gods and their death. Yeah, Scott, a lot of people have thrown that idea out there. I've seen that one around a lot. I also wonder if Taconis know about Basement Boy. I think if they did, that sounds like total control. One power for life and one for death. Also wonder if a newborn celestial will insist on bringing back the Shaper to serve. Yeah, also possible. Also possible. Famine says creatures of a hive mind go crazy when the central hive or central mind is white, but if the creature has never been connected to the hive mind, they would have no reason to go crazy. That's exactly where I'm kind of like, will they be mad or not? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That'll be very interesting. Did the Halavar say that Celestials went feral right after the Shapers died, or she didn't specify how long it took? Maybe the influence of a Shaper. Was it even her who explained it? I think that, so is that the first time I have it written in my notes? Yeah, so Atheon went feral, Grandma found him. There was something else about, no, here it is. So some beings are older than gods, demons and fairies, etc. Celestials were brought forth by the gods. Celestials went feral when the gods died. They don't give any sort of, thing about like, was it immediate? Did it take time? I don't think we have gotten any information on that. At least I didn't put it in my notes if we did, but I don't think we did. Crumb says, but maybe the Taconis have a way to control it, like the obelisk or something else on the ritual. Also completely possible. But it would be interesting that Tansa was like, hey, I'm going to give you guys a way to avenge if I'm killed by Asgara. And instead of just being like, my Celestial will naturally want to do that, I'm going to give you control over a Celestial. Feels a little weird. Reed says, that's what they have said, but I am clinging to this idea that the twin houses turned and killed off the other two houses because they really did stay faithful. Yeah, I mean, well, they all fought alongside them. But you're saying they killed those other ones off because those two actually stayed faithful and they're secretly not, right? Is that where you're going? Andrea says, I wonder if the anti-petrification the Seekers found will eventually be the cure for Sid. Yeah, maybe they come back with that, and that's it. But there's got to be people in Dalmakiar that are capable of doing restoration, greater restoration. Tacona seem like they like their pets in general, so it could be a lot. Also possible. Halavars have been in league with demons already. Yo, what up, Geeky Vapor? Hey. If the gods were killed, do they go to an afterlife, or do they just cease to exist? That would be a question only Brennan has the answer to. Given Tansel was like, yeah, I may die, but the sun will rise again, I think they go somewhere or something. Edwin says, I don't remember her name, but I want to see Murray get into it with her new boss again. Let's see if I have. I know I have her name somewhere. It's just a matter of finding it in the notes. Let's see, that's Dean Euripides. Let's skip down. New Dean set to give her speech. Wow, I just keep calling her the Dean, the new Dean, the new Dean. I know I have her name somewhere, but I apparently didn't write Dean before it. So. Yeah, so I'd have to sift through the notes. I know I'm gonna have it in here somewhere, but I don't know where I put it. My impression was that Wick's grandpa went insane because he was in prison and constantly having his blood drained. Well, no, she found him. Thought light was from Tanzel. Atheon went feral. Grandma found him. People need the light, and so doing it for the right. So it's my understanding that it was like, and it was said earlier, and the other thing that I read that they went feral when the Shapers died. So it wasn't that he went feral from being down there. They just went feral with the Shapers dying. Now that could be adding to it because he's in prison and all that sort of stuff. Thank you, Biko. But yeah, I think they went crazy either way. Arrow, welcome in, says, if the Celestials need go crazy when their creator master dies, isn't it a bad idea if a mortal person makes it? Guess control of the Celestial could be tied to bloodline, and that's also dangerous. Yeah, no, that's totally a fair thought to be like, oh, well, if a humanoid who can die way easier than a god does that, then like, yeah, like we're just gonna end up with a crazy Celestial. Piratey says, Gamers, is it just me, or does having secret meetings at an Ins Avery messaging place seem very unsecure? Now, wouldn't folks be looking for messages that came during the day? That's a fair point, is like you're doing these meetings in like this public place. Now they tend to like have this private room off to the side, but I think it's just a cooler setting for the story, like narratively. More exciting, more ways to be introduced to other characters and stuff like that. Daniel says, will Pascard explain to us what the Sea Door is? Is this something that the drowned men guard? I want to know more about that stuff. I don't know if Pascard will be the one to tell us, but I do want to know those answers. The things you're asking there, I want to know. Gene, thank you for the bless you as well. Coconut says, I'm not clear if Dakonis and Halovar both worship Tanzel. I thought they each had their own domains and gods. No, they both worship Tanzel. Yeah. Because they're human houses. And the humans worship Tanzel. Right, the orcs were Asgra. I think halflings were like the trickster god. Elves were Salandri. Yeah, stuff like that. But I also think the Cormorant. So I guess that's not completely true because there was also like other ones like the staves that killed whoever that was the human god. So, but I'm pretty sure they both worshiped the same god. They were both Tanzel. The Dakonis notes pretty much confirmed that the Golden Orchard is wrecked. The Black Rabbits told us as much when they met the soldiers. Yeah, with the whole like we can't wait outside for forever. Like it was very clear that they were there. I saw people saying, "Oh, we're worried about like Lady Aranessa because there's the Dakonis are outside." But it's like no, that note is old. I think like they've already gone there and destroyed everybody. Grandpa says, thanks again for the recaps. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching them. I'm glad that they are helpful. Candlegal says, do we think maybe they are trying to create vessels for the gods to return to? Maybe Ox's cousin was a failed attempt, but Oxus himself was a partial success. Yeah, so I would say that is now somewhat on the table. Before I was like, no, they're trying to do a Celestial, they're trying to do a Celestial. Now I think, yeah, maybe perhaps they are actually trying to bring back Tanzel. Because they fought on the side of the gods. So either they want to make themselves gods, but... or they're trying to bring back Tanzel. Yo, what up, Spooter Man? Thanks for the heart on TikTok. I will use it as a chance. I haven't done a little bit of a plug in this stream, and we're already almost 2 hours in. So if you have not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel on YouTube. It's free. You get more of me in your feeds. Type something in the chat if you haven't already, because it helps with the algorithm. Give this video a thumbs up if you're on YouTube. Double tap your screen if you're on TikTok. Again, all these things help with engagement. I would really appreciate it. If you want to support me continuing to try to be full-time making content about Critical Role, Dungeons and Dragons, and other nerd culture stuff, consider becoming a member here on YouTube. It's like $5 a month, a cup of coffee a month to support me continuing to do this, or subscribe to my Patreon. It's linked in the description below, where I think I'm going to now start uploading my episode notes. That's going to be a benefit of being subscribed, or as a member here. I guess I'll post the link after every episode or something like that, with all my episode notes. So I think that might be something I do as like an extra benefit, is I will have all my notes available to you. I'm still ironing that out, so don't lock me in on it, but I think I want to do that. Subscribe, become a member, support any way you can. Super chats are another great way to do that. And that will be the end of my thing. When I heard sea door, I assumed it meant like another door to ferry. That's kind of what I thought, was like the sea entrance. The sea door entrance is kind of what I was thinking, Chrome, as well. Cogger says Clora Kleppen-Weisreck is the new dean. Cora sounds, yeah, Dean Cora. Yeah, that sounds right. That thing with the sun reminds me of a line from Hawkfire. The sun would not have risen. Then what would have happened? A mere ball of flaming gas would have illuminated the world. Chadby said the new dean is Cora. Yep, that's Cora. Yeah, Dean Cora is 100% accurate. I don't know if I knew the last name. Denethrin says, wonder what effect it would have on Sundered Houses if some Shapers came back. Would Takona's house gain more power if they brought back the Shapers? Is that the end game? Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking now, is if that's their goal. Yeah, I mean, they fought on the side of the Shapers, whereas the other houses didn't. I'll never make it live, but hope y'all enjoyed tonight's episode. Hey, thanks, Mr. Delicious. Thanks for popping in. How's Brigas going for streaming goals? It's going. It's going. I mean, it's an ever consistent battle of, when you're trying to do stuff like this full time, every month is different. Every stream is different. Every video does different. And so, 1 month I have sponsor posts and it's great. And the next month I get no sponsored posts. And so then, yeah, it's all over the place. Something in the chat. Thanks, Jaden. Can't remember if I typed already. Well, no worries, Ashley. Appreciate you typing out. Just do it again. Can't hurt. Very true. Y'all can't help me, but I'm mid-moving. The new place is a mess. I put something down when I get home, and now it's lost in the post. I said it's upsetting me. Well, dang, fam, and I'm sorry to hear that. Yes, notes would be so helpful. Yeah, so that's what I do my recaps on, is, I take notes through the episode and all that. Now, it's notes for me. It's not going to be the super well-structured whatever. You'd be reading what I am jotting down as I do it, but it is an idea. Maybe the big storm that won't go away is the cloak, and also the dead gods returning. Yeah, so that's what I was saying. Maybe the cloak is actually like the storm being the storm wreck, but I don't know why they wouldn't have called it that. Or maybe like, I can't remember the name. The thing that they're in now, the Barrow Dell, could be that, but there's a lot of guesses as to what the cloak could be, whether it's an organization or a thing or a person. Grandpa says, I haven't looked, but is there any charts or something similar to that show all the connections with the families and the characters? There were early on. During the overture, there were all these sorts of things with the lines and stuff. I don't know that there is an updated one. Maybe there is, but it's probably massive now. Like, we've been introduced to so many characters and random names and stuff like that. Merkin says, I don't think the modern Halabar and Takonis are loyal to the gods at all. Now that they are in charge, I think they would use divine methods to master. So that's what I was thinking. They either want to bring them back, or they're just trying to be the most powerful things. Like, they're trying to control everything now. Those are kind of my two guesses. We can't chance the sea door closing. If it was door to ferry, wouldn't it already be closed? Or, I mean, yes, that's completely possible. But it could also be that, like, the main door to ferry had closed and that they were aware of an extra door to get in. And before it closed, they wanted to do that. Floor by the bed. Thanks for the... Oh, there you go. The folk truck said something like, can you really even call them gods if they died? Did she say that? I think she did say something like that. Was all the guessing about the cold open at the start of the stream? Yeah, we did do that. I think we're going to see Wick. I think we are due for Wick. So that's who I think the cold open is going to be. If anybody else wants to place their bets in the chat, go ahead and throw in who you think the cold open will be. In terms of the notes, there's always a weekly recap on the Sarah website. Yeah, they do that on Wednesday. like Wednesday afternoon, they normally do like their own written recap. It's a lot more of big threads and not a ton of detail. At least in the first ones I saw. Maybe they're different now, but like with the overturns of it, it felt very like here's a thread, here's a thread, here's a thread, and just kind of left that where it was. Wick flashback, yeah, I think we're getting Wick. Well, we got schemers last week, and they've been doing kind of an alternating thing, right? They've been going like schemer, soldiers, schemer, soldiers. And so I think that we'll get Wick because we've already seen everybody else from that group, and we had the schemers last week. But that is just my speculation. You hope it's Wick? I also hope it's Wick. And I think it will be. I think it will be. 70 says, agree on Wick. He's the only one in that group we have not gone back to yet. Yep. David says, I could use more Wick myself. Agree. Combat first 20 minutes, right? Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. I don't know. I don't know. Because I think they're going to talk for a bit, and then I think they're going to start to explore, and I think there's going to be time before a combat. So I'm actually going to say no. I don't think we'll get one that early. Boneyard, what's up, dude? Did you miss anything? Well, we've been live for an hour and 54 minutes, so I'm going to say you missed just a little bit. But I hope you're having a good night. Wick backstory, please. Yeah, I think we'll get a flashback with Wick. That's my guess. Is we'll get a flashback, perhaps. Well, it's either going to be something with like his family, or it's going to be with the lady that he fell in love with. Which would you guys rather have? Would you rather have something about Wick and his lady love, or would you rather have something with like a family or more of his childhood? Rather the lady. Okay. This is the last episode for now that we need a combat for the retrieval of Sun, right? Completely possible, yeah. Wick being in the open, I think, would thematically be appropriate. I have a feeling the Halavars and Takonas are more intertwined than what is led on. I mean, we know that they're definitely intertwined. I mean, they have a history. They fought for the same side of the war, all that sort of stuff. So family lore personally. Sherry wants childhood. Denethrin wants family lore. Stephanie wants with his love as well. I like the players interacting. I would rather have Wick and another soldier. That probably involve family talk. Yeah, I agree. I do think I've liked. So I don't know. Actually, some of the best scenes, like with Belair and whatnot, have been just one person. But I do enjoy some of the player interactions as well. So I can feel that, Boneyard. Have we gotten vague references to Hitwick's mother too? Yes, we have, Andrea. We have. So it could be something with his mom. They have to get through the questioning of the dead guy, and the dead guy has his own questions, so I think it will take a bit longer to get to combat. I agree, Jason. Yeah, I don't think we'll jump straight into it. Wick and Teor? Well, Teor already had one. And it doesn't have to be, like, directly coinciding with when we saw them last, where, like, yeah, they were off doing their own thing, and the other two were talking, because we saw Teor and Thimble already. Daniel says, if it's a flashback, I'd rather see something from his youth with his family. I think we are going to see Wick in the present on the way to Damakiar. Yeah, I think Wick is going to be on the way. Okay, so you're saying either it's a flashback, and you hope it'll be from his childhood, or that it'll just be Brennan and him, you know, talking through what he's dealing with right now and like going back to the place and all that. Okay. Because it is possible that it won't be a flashback. It'll just be like we had with Cadigan and everybody else in the soldiers. None of them had flashbacks. None of their scenes were flashbacks. Could it be a How Cold Open? We have seen a How Cold Open since we saw a Wick one. Like we had one of those early on. Again, I'm thinking, and it could be complete wrong, and they could throw us for a whirl and change things. We haven't seen a Wick one yet, which is why I think it's going to be Wick. Following their sort of pattern they've been doing, that we don't see somebody unless we've gone through everybody and them going from soldiers to schemers, I think Wick. If it's a Wick, I want a Wick and Tayor because I need to know more about that emblem. Yeah, we did get some interesting stuff about that at the end of the Tayor Thimble one. Also, what do you think Julian will do when he finds out the Dakonas are staged outside the orchard? I mean, I don't know that they're staged. I think they were staged. Now, do they know that? Are there timestamps? Are there dates written on them? We weren't given that information. But it feels like that mission is already completed in terms of the Dakonas. I don't think that was like we're posted outside right now. I think that was an old note alluding to the fact that that place was already hit. I would love to see Wick and Tyranny's first meeting. Oh, that could be fun. That would be an interesting one. Like Wick reacting to seeing a demon for the first time. American says, do you think Azune's sorcery comes from a bloodline we've already met or from one we haven't seen? Potentially not inherited. I'm thinking potentially not inherited unless he was adopted by that family we saw in his flashback. Like maybe they were both adopted. Like maybe him and his sister were found and adopted or something like that. Or maybe just he was. Shnas Piscard. Yeah, I don't know, Daniel. I was interested in that too when she was doing it because I, of course, think of the D&D movie where it's like you can ask the questions and like everything that you ask counts as a question and then, you know, you're done. Like you can't do it again like that. Or you have to use another spell slot or something. And so, yeah, no, that's a really good question on is she limited or do they get to just have an awesome dialogue? Now, I think they should be limited because that puts pressure on the players and it makes for fun. Because you got to think about like Jester having to fit certain number of words in, right? When she was trying to do sending or something. And that made for fun scenes. That made for fun at the table. That made for, you know, good. It was just good. So now imagine having to be like, what did we ask? Like, what are our 3 questions or whatever? Like, I think that's more fun. So I hope that there's a little bit of a limitation. A Wick Tayor conversation about magic and how Tayor can cast magic would be amazing. Yeah, I'm not sure Tayor knows. I think Lady A is going to find out about the orchard first. I agree, Jason. Did they talk about his eyes in the flashback? No. I don't think so. Is that a question? Yes, exactly. Actually, I feel like the kid at school who said something that someone else repeated and they got the props and responses. What if Wick had his memory erased when he met Tyranny? That would be wild. Why do you think that would have happened? Mechanically speaking, that is 5 questions, right? I'm not sure. But I'll find out. Yep. Until the spell ends, you can ask the corpse up to 5 questions. Now, I don't know that Brennan will necessarily follow this to a T because it says the corpse can't learn new information. This guy wanted to ask questions. So already that doesn't make sense. Doesn't comprehend anything that has happened since it died, and can't speculate about future events. So I don't think he's going to do that. I think he might, if anything, he'll say you only get 5 questions. I don't know if he's going to hold the end unless he reads it out loud to the group and says, okay, that cool, we're going to do this. Because, yeah, can't learn new information, doesn't comprehend anything that has happened since it died, and can't speculate about future events. Those are all in the rules. I don't think he's going to follow that to a T. It could have been altered. Yeah, I'm curious, what do you think would have been altered? Could be unique to sis abilities from the stone. That's also true, Andrea. Now, he said, like, it allows you to cast the spell, but it could be a fine-tuned version because it is from the Stone of Nightsong. That is a totally fair thing to say, Andrea. Completely possible. Do you think the Sword of Nightsong has capabilities to be scryed? Like, now that it is attuned to someone, the Taconis can track it. I don't think they necessarily have power over the Stone of Nightsong. I think they had it. Well, not even really. Like, they didn't have it. They were trying to find it. It got stolen. Right? Unless it was stolen from them. Do we know who it was stolen from? And then they stole it back. Oh, no. They stole it from freaking Valus. They stole it from Valus's people. And then, not even Taconis. Thiazi and them stole it from Valus's people, and then it got stolen from them with the start of the campaign, and yeah. Let's see. Dino says, that's another question I have about the spell. Valus isn't talking to a corpse, she's talking to a spirit. Yeah, and I mean, it's already described differently. Like, she kind of like entered the veil and is like talking to him there, and there's all, whatever all around. Jimmy says, I believed Wick seemed to act like their family had been cool with demons for longer than Tyranny has been around. Completely possible. I don't remember that off the top of my head. I'm thinking that Tyranny is Wick's love, and they could have changed his perception of the person he met. Yeah, I mean, maybe, but then wouldn't she know? And he has a picture of her. So he looks at a picture, she also looked at the picture, and neither one of them was like, oh, that's you, right? So I think the deviation away from the rules would be specific to the stone and its origin, and anyone else would have to hard follow the rule. Yeah, maybe. Yes, I'm saying they might do it all to do their own thing. Also, ASD and it's brutal. Yeah, it is. It is. Time to bounce. Drop a like on the vid. Enjoy the show. Yeah, buddy. Sorry, complaints about the chat. I only saw Asher's comment. All good. Thanks for good pre-show. See you on the others. Yeah. All right, guys. Feel free to join the Discord. It's linked in the description down below to continue any chatting and stuff like that. No, Bull, you're totally fine, dude. That's just my thought on it. I mean, they could have come up with their own way to make this work. I've never, because that thing's been around a lot where people think Tyranny is like his lover in her body or something like that. I've never bought into that because I don't think I would like it, and I feel like there are parts where it would have to be the players actively choosing to keep it a secret and lie to the or hide it from the audience or lie in front of it, or like do things that don't make sense. So that's where I'm kind of like, I don't like it, but it's totally fine if like that's your thing or whatever. There's it's all good. And yeah, and there was the part that, and I always forget to bring this up too, that she also said that like she has seen, like she's been in the room with, like they went to one of her shows or something like that or something. So yeah, I'm gonna get out of here though, guys. Join the Discord down below. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And I hope you guys enjoy. Hopefully tonight is a good one. No episode next week, so we will see. But thank you guys for hanging out. Appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your night.